Feints, those moments where you pretend to do one thing just to do another, are everywhere in competitive games. They're free, they require no commitment, and you can spam them endlessly. Every competitive sport, physical or digital, is built around them. In team games, you fake a plan just to execute another. In fighting games, they're your bread and butter. And in Dota, we throw feints constantly, whether we realize it or not. And all of it exists because of one key. Can you guess it? It's the S key. Cast time is one of the most notorious attributes in Dota 2. It exists to balance spells that would be completely broken without it. But the S key does something really interesting. It turns that weakness into a weapon. A drawback becomes a threat. And on the receiving end, it doesn't just waste time, it breaks minds. And honestly, that's just fun. And I genuinely believe this is why Pudge is one of the most played heroes in the game. Not because he's strong, not because he's reliable, but because his entire identity revolves around a single ability with a bad cast time. A spell that's hard to hit and easy to punish, but yet, the moment enemies start reacting to it, that's when Pudge starts winning without ever throwing the hook. But here's the funny part. You might think Pudge is the best example of feinting in Dota. I thought so too. Until halfway through writing this script, I realized something. Every single hero in the game spams the S key constantly. It's so obvious that I completely missed it. It's last hitting. One of the most fundamental mechanics in Dota, heroes spend most of the time doing it. And without the stop command, it would be shallow and more importantly, not fun. Because one of the clearest ways to show mechanical superiority in Dota isn't just hitting creeps, it's denying, faking, stopping mid animation, and forcing reactions. That's feinting. That's the S key at work. Kunkka's Tidebringer and Lina's Lightning Strike array aren't just strong because they deal damage, they're strong because they can make the enemy hesitate. That hesitation alone is enough to secure a last hit without ever committing the spell. And once the opponent learns to respect that threat, the next time the spell is cast, it lands for free. That uncertainty never goes away, it follows them for the rest of the game. That's textbook feinting. There's a common claim that Shadow Fiend has no defensive abilities. And if you've ever played Shadow Fiend, you know that's completely false. Requiem of Souls isn't just powerful because you can cast it, it's powerful because you can choose not to cast it. You can stop halfway through the animation, and after level 6, you really never feel unsafe on a hero that supposedly has no defensive spell. That's not just defense, that's textbook bluffing. Puck's illusionary orb is an excellent escape tool, not because it takes you from point A to point B, but because it could. The orb forces enemies to guess your decision before you've ever made it. They're trapped in a prediction game they can never win, chasing an outcome that was rigged from the start. Eventually, not trying to catch the puck becomes the correct play, and that's when Puck can do whatever it wants. And if that feels unfair, yeah, that's textbook bullshit. And then there are outliers, because Dota isn't just a game of systems, it's a game of exceptions, and sometimes these exceptions don't just reward fainting, they demand it. Anti-mage adds an entirely different layer to my thesis. Against most heroes, landing a spell using feints is optional. Against anti-mage though, it's mandatory. You don't get to play honestly. If you commit too early, you lose the spell. If you hesitate too long, you lose the kill. So the only way to interact with him at all is through bluffs, cancels, and forced reactions. Anti-mage doesn't just punish bad spells, he punishes the honest ones. And in a game built on outliers, turns out feinting is one too. But this idea doesn't stop at micro, it scales. Echo Slam changes the game the moment it becomes available. Once the spell exists, grouping up is no longer automatic. It's guessed, second guessed every single time. And Echo Slam isn't alone. Black Hole, Reverse Polarity, these spells don't punish bad coordination, they punish the coordination itself. But when grouping up becomes dangerous, the alternative becomes just as deadly. Vendetta, Haunt. These spells turn isolation into a risk. They make a single hero showing on the map feel like a mistake. Support stop showing alone, not because they've been punished, but because they could be. Sunstrike is one of my favorite examples. It's a global ray of light that deals absurd damage anywhere on the map. And after a few lucky sunstrikes land, the enemy team gains a permanent debuff. They stop walking in a straight line. That hesitation alone is stronger than almost any slow in the game. But these all pale in comparison to what Global Silence and Spell Steal does to the game state. Simply by existing, they force heroes to stop using their abilities altogether. Everyone waits, waiting for you to act first, and here's the neat part, you never do. You keep playing unbothered, knowing the moment you commit, you give the power away. You hold all the cards, and as long as you don't play them, the game stays frozen in your favor. Dota isn't a game about pressing buttons. It's a game about options, about showing intent and choosing not to follow through. The S key doesn't make you stronger, it gives you restraint. And in a game built on hesitation, restraint is power. The strongest moments in Dota aren't when spells are cast, they're when they could have been. And once you start seeing the game that way, you will never really stop.